Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. We are going to do a 45-minute yin practice. All you need is an open space. You could practice indoors, you could practice outdoors. If you practice with props, please grab them, blocks, perhaps a blanket, whatever makes you most comfortable. We're going to get started in a child's pose, so find a wide knee child's pose on your mat or in your space. And with wide knees, you'll sit the hips back towards your heels and stretch your arms out really long in front of you. Let your head rest down on the ground. And allow yourself to check in here. See how you're feeling today. It's that big F word we talk about a lot in class. Feels, right? But it's important to just take note that we are changing human beings, and how we feel one day is probably going to be different than how we feel, say, the next day. And how amazing that we are these beings that can feel. And to stop feeling would to become a robot or to switch or kind of move into the matrix, and wouldn't that be a little bit scary? And just take 5 more deep breaths here. Connecting to Ujjayi Pranayama, so you're inhaling and you're exhaling through your nose. Your lips are sealed. Taking one more full breath in, filling all the way up. Taking a deep exhale out of your mouth. And on your next breath in, shift forward towards a tabletop. And work towards stacking your shoulders with your wrists. Now as you stack your shoulders with your wrists, take a look at your hands. So right now my hands are totally neutral, right? My fingertips are facing forward. As I breathe in, I'll look forward, open up the chest, and then as I exhale, I'll round my spine, drop the head down, and you'll find a cat pose. Take a couple rounds like that on your own breath. So as you inhale, you open up the chest, lift the chin. As you exhale, go ahead, round your spine, hollow out the abdomen. Just kind of move and groove into your bodies a little bit there. Take some time. Make sure weight is staying in the finger beds and in the knuckles themselves. You don't want to start to kind of shift out quite yet. We'll get there. And then make your way back towards a neutral tabletop. Stack your shoulders with your wrist. Take your left hand and turn it all the way to the left. So my fingers will face back. And just keep the left hand back for now. So you're going to make a comb with your other hand. So I like to say a comb. You're going to tuck the fingers in. Find your elbow crease and begin to just brush your left forearm down. We're going to work a bit into something you guys have been requesting a lot of, and that is arms, shoulders, chest, lungs, heart. So take some time. And you might feel like you have little marbles in the arm. You don't want to give yourself an Indian rub. But you do want to start to explore some of that tension there. And then open up your hand and just brush lightly. And then to come out of that right hand to the ground, make a tight fist with your left hand. Press that hand down. Make a Lego hand with the right hand. Both arms are in a fist. And you'll release from that. So if you have sleeves, I'm going to roll mine up so you can see my arms a bit more clearly, so you know the direction my hands are going. So now my left hand, I'm going to use that as a brace. My right hand turns all the way around. And I'll find myself here. Make a comb with the left hand and then slowly begin to comb from elbow crease down to the wrist. So your heart and your lungs actually start in your hands. Isn't that interesting? Your heart in particular actually starts in your armpit, but it goes all the way down to the hands. So often if our hearts are holding tension, if our lungs are holding tension, we might actually start to feel it through the forearms. You might start to feel it through the hands. And then open up that hand, just brush. And then find a Lego hand with the left, find a Lego hand with the right. Keep the arm bones really straight. Take a deep breath in. Take a deep breath out. Sigh in. Good. And then hands to neutral. So sort of similar as we did one arm at a time, you're now just going to do that both hands. So my left hand turns to the left, and then my right hand just turns to the right. And so from here, you might start to shift hips back towards your heels. Whoa. And feel your hands open up. Do that a couple of times. You might shift side to side. Taking your time. Again, so back to neutral, you want to make those Lego block hands. Whoop, straight arms. Really nice. Full breath in. Deep exhale out. And then open up your hands to neutral. So check this out. Instead of turning my hands to the outside, it's like that Mr. Miyagi, like wax on, wax off. You're going to wax on. Boom, my left hand turns all the way around. So as you can see, right, that's the direction of the elbow there. And I'm going to do the same thing with the right hand. Whoop, and that arm turns around as well. So again, right, if this is the first time you're doing this, your arm bones might not go all the way back, right? Maybe you can only get them part of the way. If you ever wonder sort of the things yoga teachers do at home on their own, well, it's weird stuff like this. Exploring our bodies. Wow, do your arms turn this way? What happens if I turn my hand that way? What happens if I shift the weight left? If I shift the weight right? What does that feel like? Who knows? You don't know until you try, right? This is something my parents always used to say. You don't know until you try. Give it a go. All right, Lego hands to come out of that left and then the right. Woo, should start to feel some warmth through the arm bones. And then the last one we're going to do is you're going to bring the tops of your hands to the ground. So when I say the top hands, make sure it's not just the fingers, right? You want the hand fully flat. Woo, open up the hands. And you'll even look at my thumbs right there, right? Thumbs always wants to hitchhike. Glue the thumb back down to the ground. So my arm bones are really straight. Very slowly, I'm going to see if I can just tuck the thumb into the center of the hand. Whoa, it's like the thumb is lifting away. It's got to work out. And then I'll release that down. I'll do the same thing with that second index finger. I'm going to tuck and curl the second index finger in. Don't lift your other fingers up from the ground. Get that thumb down. Get the middle finger down. Release that. All right, middle finger tucks and curls in. Whoa, don't let the ring finger lift up. This is tricky. Let that middle finger go. Do the same thing. Ring finger lifts up. It's almost like a mind game. Release that. All right, and then the pinky finger, that last little finger, tuck and curl him in if you can. And then release that. Again, final last time. So Lego the right hand, Lego the left hand. And when I say Lego, I don't mean that millennial phrase like Lego. Even though my roommate and I had a discussion the other day of I ate a lot of waffles, as a lot of you know, that whole phrase, Lego my ego. And I was like, wow, the 90s really coined Lego. It wasn't a millennial thing. It was waffles. So it all always comes back to waffles. Isn't that funny? All right, open up your hands. Whew. Spread them out. And then just sit on your shins for a moment. And all I want you to do is open and close your hands and flick the hands like you've got water on them. Flick, flick, flick. Keep going, keep going. Blink the hands, blink the hands, blink the hands. This is really good if you are a climber, if you are a biker, if you own a handheld device, otherwise called a phone, a cell phone, an iPhone, right? We have those a lot. Keep going. My hands are getting tired. You've got 5, stay with it, good, 4, 3, 2, and 1, good. Hold the fists in all the way, keep the fists, release the arms down by your side, open up your hands. Go ahead and shift on forward, you'll spread your hands really wide, and then just step back to a plank pose. So we'll hold plank pose for a good 7 minutes here, right? That's our peak yin pose. Totally kidding, don't hold the plank pose. We're not doing that today. We're not gonna do it ever. You'll drop your knees down, bend your elbows in towards your chest, lower all the way down to the ground. Slide your hands back a little, lift the chest up, find a cobra, and And then exhale, lower all the way down, forehead finds the ground. Slide that left forearm out in front of you, slide the right forearm out in front of you, and then lift your chest up. So now you'll be in a Sphinx pose. I'm gonna move myself back a little bit here just so you can see fully. So what I see a lot of time in class is this, like, it's like a slithering cobra, right? The Sphinx pose, you should be at 90 degrees, right? You wanna think about a nice, proud, open chest. So you can see how expansive I am here. Spread the hands out across the ground, drop your chin towards your chest, and then start to take little half circles. My ear goes shoulder to shoulder. And again, you just want to feel all those little points in the way. Maybe there's some tension there, and you hang out. Careful that the chest doesn't start to sort of drop, right? Keep it all lifted. Maybe you give the lips a flutter, blah. Shake the head a little bit. Make sure not to do full revolutions with the head and neck. It's just not an angle of a degree that you really want to take the neck to in this posture, in this position. So you might start to hit this point here where it feels like your arms are going to fall. If they're not going to, I've never had students lose their arms or hands in a Sphinx pose. It's not going to happen for you. You've got about another minute here. Arms should be pretty active. Notice how active my hands are. So if your hands get really lazy, it's going to get harder for you. So if I keep spreading, it's almost as if I'm pulling the ground towards my chest, and then I can lift up a little bit more. I've got this one piece of hair that keeps dropping into my face, and all I keep thinking about is that meme that you're seeing right now on social media that's like, you know, coronavirus, when we all had to cut our own hair, and it's got like the guy with the weird mullet, and I'm like, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna lose it, and I'm gonna cut my hair. I'm not gonna cut my hair. I'm gonna have someone else cut my hair. Anyway, a couple more breaths, stay with it, full breath in. Good, deep breath out. And then really slowly, you'll just lower all the way down. Make a little pillow with your hands. Bring one cheek to the side and give your hips a little bit of some movement, left and right. Left and right. And then maybe just turn your opposite cheek to the mat. Even out your head, even out your neck. And then bring your head back to center. So we're coming into seal pose. So seal pose, you want your hands to be a little bit forward of the shoulders. Again, I'm going to scoot back so you can see this. And I like to go a little bit wider with my hands. So I'm going to press my hands down on the ground, and I'm going to lift my chest all the way up. I'm going to lift the chest up. Getting warm. My chest stays nice and open. My head drops down. Maybe I move it side to side. My feet are pretty active. I'm just going to stay here a couple of breaths. Careful not to bend the elbows, right? As soon as I bend the elbows, I'm going to lower down. I want to stay lifted. You might lift the gaze a little bit higher. If you have a more advanced practice, you might then start to walk in towards a fuller cobra. So then my arms tuck in, and I might even work more of that upward facing dog kind of variation, keeping my thighs though on the floor for this one. So you don't want to lift the knees up for any yin. That's too much on the lower back, just generally unnecessary. My chest lifts. Again, if you feel any pain in your lower back or any strong sensations, you don't want to be there. You want to come back down towards that original seal pose. So I tend to be a bit more mobile in the spine, so I can be here and I can carry a conversation, I can take deep breaths. If I were here and I were in pain, I should not be there, right? That's generally a good rule of thumb. If something doesn't feel good, don't do it. Right? If you grab a cactus and grabbing that cactus hurts and you keep grabbing the cactus, that's on you. If few more breaths. Again, this flow we're doing today, this yin sequence, really good for climbers, really good for anyone that's working at a desk all day, at a computer, anyone that wants to create more space for the chest, the upper body, even if you want to work on strength. This takes a lot to hold the body up for multiple minutes. Right? Everyone's into planking and push-ups, but hold a yin cobra or a yin seal or a yin sphinx pose for long enough and you'll definitely feel the burn. Take one more breath in, and then as you exhale really slowly, right, watch my elbows, they stay into my body nice and close. You'll lower all the way down. Rest your arms alongside your body for a moment. Give your hips a little bit of some movement side to side. Slide your hands in alongside your ribs. Forehead comes center. Press into your hands. You'll lift your chest up, come into a tabletop. So I'm going to teach this transition, not coming into a downward facing dog today. We're going to keep things kind of very low to the ground, keep things more grounded. When we're working with the heart, when we're working with lungs, sometimes fire can excite the body in a particular way. So I want to keep that energy settled. You'll press into your hands. All you'll do is step the left foot, outside the left hand. So in a vinyasa class, right, we know this as, say, a lizard pose. And now in yin, we know it as dragon. So that's kind of the indicator, right, of where the practice goes, or how when you stay for 5 breaths, it's like a friendly little lizard, a pet lizard that maybe you could have at home, a kimono dragon of some sort. And then you stay longer, and it's like your Game of Thrones dragon, where you're like, I don't want to be friends with that dragon. I don't want that to be my pet. So some of you will stay here up on your hands, and some of you might sort of walk down onto your forearms. So something you want to be really mindful of in your dragon pose is this rolling to the outer edge of the foot, which we'll see a lot in class. And sometimes we cue it as teachers when we're being really particular. For this today, you want to keep the foot on the ground. So if you look here, right, my knee is stacked with my ankle, and I'm not rolling the weight to the side. My foot is totally flat on the ground. That's going to give my ankle a lot of stability. That's going to give my knee a lot of support. And being on forearms is just too much for me, so I'm going to stay up on my hands. And kind of watch where you start to fidget. Now, if you're practicing at home and you're like me and you don't have a mat, you might want to put something underneath that back leg, like a blanket, not a block, but something maybe cushiony if you're feeling a lot of weight back there. If you have particularly hard floors, the surface is pretty hard. I'm not kind of like, I kind of wish I had a mat. But that's also a little bit of flight response happening. So you want to watch and see, you know, are you fighting the pose or are you trying to get out of it? And that's just me trying to get out of it too. I'm like, let me think of all the ways in which I could just not be here right now. And how many of you, even though you wouldn't get on an airplane right now, have been scoping out those Google flights? There's some deals. They're tempting. It's not a good idea. Don't do it. Right? Take a couple more breaths. Full inhale through the nose. Take a deep exhale out of the mouth. So if you're down on your forearms, do press back up to your hands. Really mindfully, you're going to bring that left leg back to a tabletop. Check out this transition here. I'm going to walk my hands forward. I'm going to drop my hips down to come into a cobra. So that should feel pretty good through the hips. You might even want to bring the feet up to the sky and just roll them all side to side. Bend the elbows a little bit, take it left, and take it right. I come back through center, I breathe in, I draw on the navel, I draw and lift up towards the tabletop. So again, we're just kind of skipping that downward facing dog, keep things really level and grounded. If you're like, what's that new transition? You could come into a downward facing dog, right? It's your practice. My right foot sets outside my right hand. Take some time. So again, you want to be really mindful that you're not opening up that leg to the side. As much as we get here, even I just went there and was like, oh, that feels so good. And I'm opening up through the groin, I'm opening up through the inner hip. And then tomorrow I'm like, why am I so sore? And it's like, oh, I just held the body out of alignment for a long duration of time. So my knees stay stacked with my ankle, my arms are going to be on the inside of that leg. And then again, you might drop down onto your forearms, you might not. Dragon pose. In dragon, you might feel emotions of anger or frustration start to come up. So sometimes when fire is like depleted, when our fire element's really low, wood is really high. We're in the season of wood right now, so it's natural for wood to be a little bit higher. But that can lead us to frustration. It can lead us to anger. It can lead us to addictive behavior. It can lead us into being hyper-competitive. But when wood is in balance, generally speaking, fire is able to be pretty balanced too then, in that everything that would kind of be put towards competition or frustration or anger leads to like a healthy excitement, a healthy sense of joy, right? Fire types are very joyful, they're charismatic, they're magnetic, they're known as the wizard. So the more we release this sort of anger, the frustration, the more space we make, the more room we make for that wizardry type energy. And now maybe you're thinking of like Harry Potter. Or I always used to think of like the old wizard with like the really big hat. Or maybe you're just like, B, stop talking. And that's okay too. You've got about another minute here. Make sure the jaw stays relaxed, the eyes stay relaxed. Let's take 3 more deep breaths, breathing in through your nose. You might take an exhale out of your mouth, lion's breath, sigh the breath out, maybe stick out your tongue. And then if you're down on your forearms, do press back up to your hands. Draw on the navel a little bit, slide that right leg back, tabletop, walk your hands a little bit forward, draw in the navel. So your core is engaged this whole time. Everything is still core engaged, right? Just because it's yin doesn't mean you get lazy or inactive. You're still strong through the midline. I'm going to slowly lower my hips to the ground, and I'm going to lift my chest up. And I'll find that cobra for a moment, maybe leaning to one side, maybe be leaning to the opposite side. And then back through center. I'm going to lower my head to the ground, and then I'll shift back, hips to heels, child's pose. Hips to heels, child's pose. In child's pose, bring your elbows to the ground, your hands to a prayer, drop your head down, and then take the prayer to the back of your head, the back of your neck. Take a few breaths here, maybe about 5 deep breath cycles, Ujjayi Pranayama. And then go ahead, release your hands down. Spread your hands out really wide, shoulder distance apart. You'll tuck through your toes. And with bent knees, you'll press back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. And then you're just gonna walk your feet to your hands. Walk the feet to the hands. And once you're up there, keep your feet about hip distance apart. So to measure it out, you can do two things. Make a far out radical sign, right? Thumb, pinky, boom, between the feet. Or what you can do is take two fists. So again, far out radical, two fists. And then from here, I'm going to take my hands underneath my feet, Padahastasana. Just want to open up the palms a little bit more. I'll drop and I'll fold forward. Again, your legs don't have to be straight here. Mine certainly aren't. You're just going to hang here a little bit. You might even bend one leg and bend the other leg. So we're not looking for our deepest forward folds. We're looking for a hand to foot relationship. So our feet are very watery, our hands can be very fiery. And then slip your hands out from your feet. You'll toe heel your feet as wide as the mat. If you're not using a mat, that's okay. If you have blocks, you might want them. You'll come down into a yogi squat. In yogi squat. So a lot of us will need blocks here. If you don't have blocks at home, you can use blankets, pillows, books work really nicely. Maybe you've got like your kid's toy rolling around somewhere. A foam roller will work. I'm gonna grab two blocks. You're gonna take your blocks, stack them one low level on top of the other. Feet again, facing forward. Bend the knees, sit down into your yogi squat. My hands will start at the heart. I like to start up pretty tall here. Palms pressed. Take your left hand and make a fist. Bring your fist to your lower back. Take the elbow to the inside of that left leg. So again, my elbow is on the inside of that leg. Not on the outside, it's on the inside. And take my right hand, make a fist, fist to low back. I'm now going to bring that elbow to the inside. Careful not to lean the weight to the outer edges of the feet. You want to keep them even. So you might even start to press the legs in a little bit. It's too much for me today, so I'm going to stay right here. And just let the head drop down. So this is often quite intense for us. We're hitting some big lines for metal for the lungs. Often gets us into grief, loss, connection. Right? A lot of us might be feeling a loss of connection right now. We might be feeling alone. So often in this pose, you might feel strong sensations. I'm not going to say what you'll feel. I don't know that for you. But whatever starts to come up, hold space for it. And then again, sort of watch, right? What is your pattern? Is it fidgeting around kind of like I am? Are you leaving the pose, coming back in? Are you fighting it, right? You're grimacing, you're digging your toes in. You know, can we find a relaxed state no matter the feeling? So as it comes, and as it goes, it goes. And we try to cling to nothing. And the yogis say it's the clinging, the attachments we have to things that creates the suffering, not the things themselves. Take a deep breath in. Take a really deep exhale out. Take two more full inhale. Deep exhale. One more time, inhale through your nose. Maybe you take a lion's breath out of your mouth. Blah. And then really slowly bring one elbow out at a time. As your elbows come out, elbows to your kneecaps, palms to a prayer, thumb knuckles press into the third eye. All of a sudden, yogi squat feels pretty sweet. And sometimes what we need is that shift of perspective that allows maybe grace or gratitude to infuse our practice or infuse our life or infuse just our thoughts and our ways of being. Take a deep breath in and take a really deep breath out. From here, allow your hands to come down. So if you're sitting up on any blocks, move them off to the side. You may or may not need them anymore. And then you'll just slowly come to sit down. As you're sitting down, you'll set up so your feet are together and your knees will be quite wide. So if you feel like you're falling back here in this pose, sit up on a block, or again, a blanket, roll your mat up a couple times, that helps too. I always like to sit up here. I find that the rotation allows me to be a bit more stable through my low back, and then I can actually draw my heels in a little bit more here. And then as I sit tall, I'm going to sort of open up the feet much like you're opening up a book. And I might just even spend some time on the feet here, taking my thumbs into the arches. And giving the feet a little bit of some care. And even as you're using your hands to massage the feet, it's interesting. Sometimes when I offer this in class, you see students who are just like doing this. They're kind of like really daintily holding their own selves. Our hands are fire and metal. It's points of connection. So if we can't take our hands to our own body, right, and connect, perhaps we find it challenging to connect or be intimate with others in that way. It's so beautiful and interesting how the practice really does start to tell you everything about yourself. Where your attractions are, where your aversions are. What are you scared of? What do you feel really confident in? What are you a little bit insecure in? And then slowly you can start to fold forward here. Letting your head drop down. Maybe your arms here open up. Notice, right, I'm not keeping tight fists. I'm relaxing through the hands. You've got about another minute and a half here. You might notice that the knees open up towards the ground with time, with gravity passing. You might find that you can fold more deeply. If you're someone whose head and your neck starts to bother you at all, that might be where a block comes in handy, right? Resting the forehead down, or anything. You could stack your hands up. I like using the body as its own prop. It's very empowering. Traditionally, this practice was done without any props, so I wouldn't even be sitting on the block right now. I would just be in a very modified posture, very modified variation. Props didn't come into the YIN practice until more recently, when then the line started to blur between YIN and restorative. And maybe you're wondering, well, B, what is that? What's the difference between a YIN class and a restorative class? And the difference is, a lot of folks would say, well, a restorative class is going to restore the nervous system, right? As it should. It should almost kind of calm it, soothe it. YIN class is actually, it might even do the opposite. It might trigger you. It might bring up a lot of emotions. It might bring up a lot of sensations. I always tell students, my class should be called Doesn't Always Feel Good. I'm not teaching to make you feel good. I'm teaching to make you feel and to connect to all those feelings, right? Because we are made up of a whole kaleidoscope of emotions and memories and traumas and dreams and visions and experiences that we're bringing to the practice. And who's to say that it's going to feel good? Right? As the emotions and our experiences coming up through us, it's almost like you're creating a new relationship to that experience or to that feeling. Perhaps one of equanimity or ease, or maybe there's a tenderness around it in particular. But there is this a deeper allowing than perhaps the first time you felt the emotions involved with an experience, or perhaps it was something traumatic and we had that fight, flight, freeze response. Yin is so powerful because it gives you an opportunity to change that pattern or change the relationship we might have to an experience, to a memory, to a feeling. Take another full breath in here. Take a really deep breath out. Let it go. And then really slowly, right, keep your head heavy. Sometimes we want to jerk the head up real quick. That one, you get whiplash. Two, you want to go really slowly in and out of these postures. And then as you start to sit up, take your legs, fold them in together. If you're sitting up on a block, you can move that off to the side. Take your arms, wrap them around your legs, and then let your head rest down on the knees for just a couple breaths there. Then allow your head to slowly lift up. Extend your legs all the way forward. So you might have them together. You might bring them a little bit wider. We're just going to come into a forward fold. So again, if you want something underneath the head, maybe grab your blocks, stack them up. Maybe not. Then you'll slowly allow yourself to fold forward. We'll be here a few minutes. I'm going to take the fire we've built in the body, some of that heat, and cool it down with some properties of water. I'm a high water type, so I feel most at home in these folds. And something really interesting is that the arch of the foot, you can kind of see it here, we've got this point, whoa, super tender. It's a water point. So it's interesting that in this practice, right, you're given more time to explore. So you might hold on to the feet. Right, again, you're balancing, hands with feet. It kind of creates this circuit of energy in the body. Seals it all in. That you have all these elements within you. You're not just flesh and bone and muscle and tissue. You are fire and water and metal and wood and earth. And your spirit and your matter. And you're so much more than what we can even wrap our heads around. And that's what's so magical about fire, right? It's that it has this wizardry component. It has this element of like sorcery. It's magnetic, it's charming. You know, can you charm your own self? Can you be your own lover? What a question. Take 5 more deep breaths. And take a deep inhale through your nose, fill all the way up. Take a really deep exhale out of the mouth, sigh it out, let it go. And then again, right, head stays heavy, eyes stay closed. You'll just very slowly begin to sit up. And just observe that. Maybe your legs go a little bit side to side. 2 left and then right. And then you have a couple of options right now. So you could come to lie down on your back in Shavasana. You could also set up for just a meditative seat. So maybe you grab a block or a blanket and you can sit yourself up. Or again, maybe you don't need any props and you're fine there. So again, find Shavasana laying on your back. Maybe find a comfortable meditative seat. And we'll take a few moments. Get out any little wiggles in the body if you're laying on your back or if you're sitting tall. Right? You want to find these ways to be really comfortable. Maybe just taking a full body stretch before finding a seat, or again resting on your back in Shavasana. Allowing your eyes to close wherever you are. When we dream, it's not with our eyes open, right? Our eyes are closed when we dream. And I think that says something really important about what we are made up of and who we are within. And that our greatest sorcery, our greatest magic, the part of us that is like most charming to ourselves and the other people and lovers and the world, it's not something that can be seen in the physical lens of the eyes. It's something that is seen with this inner eye. It's something that's felt. It's something that's felt. If you're in Shavasana and you feel like staying, please stay as long as you care to. Otherwise, you might start to make your way towards just a meditative seat joining us here. Bring your hands together in front of your heart. That campfire within. Lifting your prayer to your third eye, bowing your head to your chest, taking an inhale through your nose, filling up from the base of your spine, your southern earth point to the moon of your skull, your northern sky point. Big exhale out of the mouth. And we give so much thanks to our teachers far and wide and ask that they always keep teaching us. Mother Shri Sat Guru Guru Jai. Light to guide, dark to learn, root to live. Namaste. Thanks for practicing with me today. If you have any questions, if I can be of service in any way, please feel free to reach out. Here for you.